Hey folks, welcome to another observation video. Today I want to tell you about the time that I spent $12,000 trying to get one more writing client. It got me none. A different course only cost me $1,200, and that one led to a client who's paid me steadily for the last 4.5 years. And the uncomfortable part of this story is that I can't put all the blame on the expensive course. I need to begin there because the company would have a fair response to me for what I'm getting ready to say. They would tell you I didn't do all the work that their system required. And they would be right. But that's not quite the whole story either. A few years ago, I already had what most freelance writers would call a very good client. Call it a whale client, our biggest client. They were steady, they were reasonable, and best of all, they were easy to work with. They paid me on time and they gave me a tremendous amount of work. Their pricing was around the middle of the market, though. Not bad, just not the rates that I knew some other professional writers were getting. So I wasn't going out of business and I wasn't sitting there without any work. I just thought one more client paying closer, to the upper end of the market could make a big difference. Same output, more money. And I knew those opportunities existed. At least I thought I did. And so back to this program, the $12,000 deal, the first part of the program cost $5,000. The basic idea was that businesses needed better ways to collect email addresses. And that's true. And this company taught me how to develop educational email courses that could offer potential customers a way to collect more email addresses that they would own. And we also learned a little bit about reviewing a company's website and then showing the owner where they might improve their email sign-up rate, based on how the website was actually set up. And I had a writing service and it made sense to me. I could see how useful what they were called was EECs, an educational email series, might help a business. And I knew I could write one. I had done it. That wasn't the problem. The problem was finding enough business owners willing to pay me to do it. Now, the program recommended using LinkedIn and contacting about 100 people every week. You'd send connection requests, try to begin conversations with the people who responded, and gradually turn some of those conversations into clients. That's the hope. Now, some people are very good at that. I'm not going to deny that. They can contact strangers all day long, following up repeatedly and keep going after hearing nothing 99 times. That's called cold calling. Guys, I'm just not one of those people. It's called cold calling or cold prospecting. I never have. I've been in sales off and on for over 30 years. I can talk with somebody across the table. I can explain what I do. And when I believe in the company or the service that I'm promoting, I can be very persistent. But introducing myself to hundreds of strangers who have never asked to hear from me, which is what the LinkedIn process is, that's a very different thing. And so I did very little of it. That's why I said the company would have a fair response to my complaints. They told me what to do once I was in the program, and I didn't do enough of it. But I didn't understand how much cold calling would be required before I agreed to pay the $5,000, nor how heavily the entire opportunity depended on continual cold outreach. I thought I was buying training to provide, a valuable writing service. And in all honesty, folks, a lot of businesses require a lot of cold calling. What I was really buying wasn't what I thought I was buying. I was buying a business model that required me to become a high volume prospector. And those aren't the same thing. A few months into the course, the problem started becoming clear. Even getting people to accept a LinkedIn connection request is difficult. And without the connection, well, there's not going to be any conversation. You don't have anyone to talk to. And without the conversation, there was no opportunity to explain the service I was trying to offer. And without repeating that process over and over and over again, there was no new client. Now, the company also encouraged me to contact friends, family members, almost anyone who already knew, who I know, that might have a business connection. And that would have worked for people that had the right network. I didn't have a network. Most of the people I knew weren't business owners looking for an email marketing writer. So months passed, no new client, no return on the $5,000. And this is where that problem becomes a $12,000 problem instead of just $5,000. About a year after I started, I paid the same company another $7,000 for its advanced course. I had already paid $5,000, and walking away felt like admitting that I had wasted it. And part of me thought the advanced program might contain the piece I was missing. Maybe I wasn't doing something other than cold calling exactly right. And I saw enough signs of other people apparently moving forward that I began wondering whether or not the real problem was me. Maybe I hadn't tried hard enough. Maybe I hadn't stayed with it long enough. Maybe I was quitting just before it finally started working. You know that feeling. If I just stay a little bit longer, it's going to happen. So I paid the extra $7,000. Looking back, I don't think I was really buying another course. I was trying to make the first $5,000 not be a mistake. And the advanced course produced exactly the same number of clients. None. Now that makes a total of $12,000. Now let me go back to the $1,200 course because the order matters. I had taken that course earlier. It was taught by a fellow named Jon Morrow. Some of you may be familiar with him. If not, I recommend you look him up. Who at the time was one of the best known names in the content writing business. And before I bought his course, the $1,200 course, I listened to him on podcasts. I watched interviews. I heard other respected people talk about him. I looked at his track record and at writers who had completed his training. They were all positive. The course also promised something tangible. No, it didn't guarantee me a client, but writers who finished it would be placed in a directory where companies looking for trained writers could find them. I completed the course. My name and biography went into the directory, and one day, an agency found me there. They weren't looking for just any writer. They worked with building material companies and needed someone who understood construction. Well, as you guys know me, I'd spent more than 35 years in the residential construction industry. And that background, which had very little to do with most writing jobs, unfortunately, it still doesn't, was exactly what they needed. They contacted me. I did the first assignment, and that led to another. My lips are getting dry. And they have now been paying me steadily for 4.5 years. Praise God. It would be easy for me to turn this into a lesson about researching courses. And yeah, you should do that. Research does matter. Jon Morrow had a public reputation I could investigate. Other people were talking about him. There were graduates with real results, which a lot of courses have. But the directory was a concrete benefit instead of just a description of what might happen if I promoted myself hard enough. In other words, if I did everything after I took the course. And the course, it also fit me better. I didn't have to persuade hundreds, thousands of strangers that they needed a writer. The agency that needed a writer was already looking for one. They came to the directory that was run by someone they trusted, Jon Morrow, and that's where I was listed, and they found someone whose background happened to match their clients, me. Now, those differences are real, but I still can't look at the result and say, I made the wise decision. I can't even say that word anymore. I can't say that I made the wise decision or choice. So I caused the success. I could complete the course, and I did. I could write the biography, and I did. And I could answer the message and do good work once the opportunity came, and I did. But I couldn't arrange for an agency that worked with building material companies to search that particular directory and find a writer with 35 years of construction experience. I couldn't do that part. But I know someone who did, and I believe God was sovereign over those ordinary details. And I'm bringing that up just, folks, if you're not a believer, you know that I am one, and I think that you should be a believer also, not because of the course. But that doesn't excuse my decision to spend the other $12,000 after Jon Morrow's course. I should have understood more clearly what the program required before I enrolled in it. I should have recognized that a business model built around constant cold outreach was a poor fit for me. And after the first $5,000 produced no clients, I should have stepped back instead of spending another $7,000 trying to make the first decision turn out to be a good one. You know, human responsibility is real. We are responsible to investigate an opportunity. We're responsible to understand what we're buying, and we need to do the work it requires. You can do everything right and still not be the one who decides what happens next. And that's what happened with me. God made those decisions. And that's especially important for those of us in the second half of life. If you're 50 plus, you know, you have a different way that you need to look at things. There are plenty of people willing to sell us a way to earn more money online, side hustles, your next big opportunity. And some of those programs may be worthwhile. Some may teach exactly what they promise. But before you go risking your retirement savings, I think you need to understand more than what they are teaching. You need to understand how the customers are supposed to be found. This is the biggest thing in the market. What are you going to have to do each and every day to get those customers? And honestly, are you willing to do it? No course is going to take the uncertainty out of what's coming. I've spent thousands upon thousands of dollars above that trying to find out. And if you've ever spent money trying to make an uncertain future feel more comfortable, I'd love to hear what you learned from it. Please leave a comment below. If you want to continue having these kinds of honest conversations, then subscribe. I think we still have a lot to talk about as I'm going through my past and trying to figure out things that I've learned that I think might be beneficial to you. And I know most of you have already got off the video. You're not even watching. But if you stayed till the end, what I've talked about today has really been on my heart for a long time. A lot of people get taken advantage of because these people that sell these courses, not all of them, but some, know how to make you feel like they have the answer. And what you really want is just to be pumped up. You want to be told that you can make it if you try. You just need to be honest with yourself about what you're getting ready to do. Do you want to do all that the course is going to require of you? Think about that before you spend the money. And until the next time, God bless.